Let's go for it.
Thank you, Ken. So, first one is pay attention to the
Beautiful.
feelings expressed.
Yep, yep. I do agree today. The case study, has is holistic. I think it is not looking at just the client's content, but it also consider the whole of the clients in terms of how the emotions can come alongside with the cognitive capacity to and the experience itself. No? So it's more of putting the all three together and not in dichotomy. No? So let's see what else do we have.
Client was able to reflect deeply during the conversation.
Great. I think that's one of the hallmark of our approach is a reflective learning space. And we can see here how the client is reflecting. And I think it is also very important to highlight it's not easy for people to reflect. Okay, and the space and the process itself must be able to prepare the client to reflect deeply. And that depends a lot on what is it that the coach is picking up and what is it that the coach is putting onto the table and how the coach invite the client to examine what the coach is able to pay attention to. So itself is both a science and an art.
Offering useful metaphor and golden words that resonated well with the client.
Mutuni, do you have any idea what the golden word is? Any thought?
No thoughts, anything quotes.
Thank you, thank you. Let's go through.
So thorough observation of words, emotion, and expressions brings powerful conversation.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, there's a comment here. I appreciate the
There-
use to
I
convey
appreciated the
observation.
use, sorry, Ben.
Go for it, Mutuni.
I appreciated the use of metaphors to convey observations or coach's thought.
Mm,
Coach asked for permission and did not judge or put labels. Coach allowed silence and waited for the coachee to express
wow.
emotions and
Yeah.
feelings.
So that's a very powerful moment to be able to hold that space for our clients. And that requires us, as coaches, not to really treat the coaching conversation as if it is something that we do to another person to get into specific outcome or solutions. Yeah. Great. Let's move on.
Conversation showed me that sometimes the coaching doesn't have to go through all the steps.
Mm,
Happens by the right questions, listening to the client,
yeah.
paying attention to the client's expression.
Beautiful. And I think that's really connects with the ICF competency of the coach being able to connect to the whole of the clients. And when you think about that, to the whole of the clients, not to the whole of the coaching models or to the whole of the coaching methodology. So the process is a human-centric connections and the process support it, the skill set support it. And yet at the same time, you can see that it does not compromise the value of what professional coaching is, and that is to support people to have their own awareness and use that awareness to be very choiceful about how would they like to show up differently, from the circumstances, out of this conversation, and then, step into that circumstances differently.
Pay attention on the feelings expressed.
Let's talk about that.
The path from confusion to
Yeah.
clarity, from overwhelmed to energized and empowered, is communication. One session, masterfully crafted, can produce strong transformations.
Well, I hope we have able to witness there's a shift that happens, and I think sometimes we get so excited about what is unfolding that we forgotten that the shift is happening in the moment, for the client, and that shift really resulted in that clarity for the client. So that is wonderful.
The capacity to evoke greater awareness and understanding combines science and art more than feeling or intuition.
Yeah.
The way the coach provokes the client's
Mm,
thinking of deepen the learning.
great. So here we can see how the coach challenged the client's how can I say presuppositions. Okay, when the client was thinking about this interesting questions, how do I unlock? There's something to unlock. So that requires more than just hearing the words. It requires the coach to understand what the client is expressing and then take that understanding one level deeper to ask, what is that question all about? It's not just what is the answer to that question or what is wrong with that question, but it's to take that to the space of what is that? What does it suggest to us about the way people is thinking? And it is from that position that the coach is able to challenge the clients. Is there something not right here with these questions? And it's so amazing to see that people are not even aware of the kind of questions that's popping in their mind while they are trying to figure out things. That so this is a very good case study.
It is not always about repeating what a client speaks out. Pull
Mm.
it back, but also a coach can also coach by making observations, feelings, emotions, and the like. A
Beautiful.
real new skill, I think the person meant skill set I have learned.
Beautiful. I think that's the distinction of Coach Masters Academy way of training coaches, and that is where does your questions come from? Okay, it comes from powerful observation, and here we can all witness the power of a true um, not say a true, but observing how people is relating to the experience, that is the key. And I think most people mistaken or have a very uh, uh, I think most people mistaken observation is to observe what can be seen with the naked eye. But what we are looking here is observing how client is relating to the situation through the narrative. Okay, and that is more powerful because the narrative is a gateway to the thought process. And when you're able to see through the construct of how the narrative is being built, like for example, clients has a questions. The questions presuppose certain understanding. That is how by just reflecting back, hey, we observe this question and it doesn't seem to make sense itself is a powerful shift, perspective shift for the client.
Appreciating the client, asking the client's permission on various occasions, putting the client at ease, giving analogies, metaphors to relate to. Great that in 10 minutes the coach
Wow.
brought a smile.
Well, it's all about observing the clients and be in the moment. And I think that is another important characteristic of coaching presence. Coaching presence is not just be present. It's more than being present. It's to be able to be present in a place where you can zoom in and zoom out. And the key here is that you need to be able to zoom out. That means step out, of the conversation while staying connected to the flow of the client's thought process. And I think without when we are so invested in what the client is saying, sometimes we can miss out that little smile because we're so interested in what can we do with what the client is saying. So that is a very important learning here.
Allowing the client to lead the conversation provides a safe space to explore, offer observations, use analogies to
Ah,
offer insights so that the client can make meaning
man,
from it.
oh, yeah. Also, as you can see here, there's a lot of science and a lot of skill set that is needed to make this true in a conversation. So let's move on.
I had a live experience today how a coach can create trust and safety with a client and yet be unattached as a coach with the client's emotions and feelings.
Precisely, this is a human work. The coach has to be a human in order to bring the humanness into this conversation. A coaching conversation where the coach is so situated in what is the question to ask, what can I ask, how can I get the clients into a solution or an action, or all these misses. I mean, these are all important, but this should not be the primary focus of what we can offer to our client. So good contribution.
How strong it is to share what is going on inside. Have a mirror reflecting this with your words and examples.
Precisely. The coach also has to play in the party. So here you can see the coach is actively involved in the thought process of the client. It's not just passively reflecting, this is what I'm hearing. Huh?
The gentleness of offering the client alternatives about what is possible,
Mm.
engagement of the client in restoring calmness and rest of mind when the client is in a mode of vortex.
Great, great. So as you can see that the transformational approach is a little bit more fragile, a little bit more tender, and but yet at the same time, it's not losing the focus of the conversation. It is both soft and yet at the same time concrete in supporting people, to be clear about what their thinking is. Now, so it's not just the airy fairy feeling, but it is still focusing on creating the change for the client.
The coach was fully present, noticing the experience, emotions of the client, and sharing their observation. Use
Oh,
of metaphors, the use of metaphors and challenge on an incongruent question opened the conversation.
yeah. So I'm quite mindful of our time, so we're going to quickly scan through and thanks everyone for offering such a wonderful contribution. So we would like to quickly go through to see is there any other new contributions that have not been mentioned. So let's just take a good look. Oh, I like this one. The approach is not accidental. There was a mixture of human-centric and intentional application of the learned coaching skills. Wow, this is what we want to highlight too, because people have a very weird feeling about transformational approach as a how you intuitively feel about the conversation. Well, that is very difficult to train. If an approach is purely the result of the practitioner intuition. That's it make it very difficult to transfer that knowledge to other practitioners. So as you can see here, there is a very specific approach to expand the mind. Okay. Yep, storylines is very difficult to grasp. And sometimes, I mean, that's the problem with a transactional approach is that it adopt a linearity thinking, as in cause and effect conditions and issues. Once you think in that line, you can't see through, a human story. So that's why we emphasize that the human system requires a different approach to expand the mind. So we have a metaphor, down to earth, yes. Okay. Don't forget our clients is a human being. So the day-to-day experience that you can relate to really makes a world of difference when you turn that into a metaphor. And there's a lot of truth and wisdom that we can draw from those metaphor. Okay, presence, see the clients, acknowledge the feeling, giving time to listen is powerful. Metaphor to shift. Yes, continuous checking in and understanding that. Okay, let us turn that into a dialogue session later on. There's a very good observation about the continuous checking in, and not only checking in, but freeze the conversation so that the client's mind can catch up with whatever that is unfolding, let it settle down before moving on to explore other aspects, and then still coming back again, remembering the big picture of the storyline, and that is the client is in this journey of you know putting everything together. But here you can see the topic goes just beyond the workplace situation to personal life and then into their private life, but all this all happens in the same, in the same plane, nah? So that is something very unique to observe, deep listening and sensing. That's very important. That is where you can see how intuition is not the main cause. The intuition, the coach intuition becomes a support system to the framework. So that's very, very a good pointers that has been highlighted in the moment. Yes, connecting to the moments, see the power of pause and managing the emotional conversation and yet maintaining the focus. Yeah, let's give everybody a high five. Whoa, oh, so sorry, nobody's on the screen.